Okay, thanks everyone. Sorry about that technical glitch. We're back again without the looping. So welcome to the live final. Our panelists are going to introduce themselves to you, and then we'll have our first student presenter. So I'm Michelle Phillips. I work at the Royal Northern College of Music as Deputy Head of Undergraduate Programmes, and I'm involved in the Entrepreneurship Award, but actually this is really down to the masterminding of Hannah McCabe, who's not with us today. She's on leave with her young son, but we're very grateful for her for all her work on this. So our panelists will say a few words, I'll say a few thank yous, and then we'll get going. So Michelle Wright, would you be happy to go next?
Of course, thank you for inviting me, looking forward to it. My name's Michelle Wright. I was a violinist originally. I then set up an organisation called Cause For, supporting lots of arts, creative organisations to be able to develop and grow. And over the last 6 years or so, I've supported about 55 creative businesses to set up and grow.
Thanks. Lisa, are you happy to go next?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. And hi to everyone. My name's Lisa McMullen, and I work with individuals and teams to recognise and to build their entrepreneurial potential, be that setting up a new business or growing a social enterprise or indeed implementing an entrepreneurial project. Delighted to be here and have a particular interest given working within education settings, particularly universities and college. So thanks again, Michelle, for the opportunity.
Great. And Adam?
Hi everyone, my name's Adam Sabor. I am the Chief Executive at Manchester Collective, but also a reformed cellist. I did a master's at the Northern back in the day. The Collective is quite a young arts organisation. We were founded in 2016, and we now tour to over 18 cities across Europe and the UK and employed 60 musicians last year, I think.
Fantastic, thank you. So before we get cracking, I can see Corbyn's in the waiting room. I just want to say a few thank yous. So thank you so much for Hannah McCabe, who oversees all this wonderfully, and we miss you, Hannah. Thanks to Katie Chatburn, who's been hugely involved in with her expertise in shortlisting and in mentoring the students. Thanks for everyone involved in setting up the stream, so Dave in particular, and thank you for everyone for your expertise leading up to this. So Petra, Gavin, Susie, Rachel, Liz, Hallam, and lots of others. So this has been very much a joint effort. So the way this is going to work is that the students will present for 5 minutes. That will be kept quite strictly, and I'll let them know if their time's run out. And then we'll spend 10 minutes with questions from the panel. Great. So I'll let Corbyn in. Hi, Corbyn.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Are you okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. Are you guys all right?
Very well, Corbyn. Thanks so much for coming.
Oh, no worries. Thank you for having me.
Are you all set to go, Corbyn?
Yes, I am, if you guys are.
Absolutely.
Am I okay to start by sharing my screen with a video? Of
course you are. Have you checked that you've hit the button that shares the computer sound?
Yes, that should be all right.
Fantastic.
Can you guys see that?
Enjoy it? We can.
Sweet. Thank you very much.
Looking forward to it.
So my name is Corbin. I'm here today with the Sound Parlour. We are we're an affordable recording, mixing and production service for amateur and semi-professional musicians. I'm 21 years old. I've been doing this since I was 18. And in that time, I've recorded 3 albums and about 40 to 50 singles, 20 of which are currently out on Spotify. And the other 30 are still undergoing the release process, but should be released within the next 6 months. I believe that nowadays, especially considering lockdown and COVID-19, a strong online presence, a good social media image is more important than ever in securing work, increasing your audience size. It can ultimately affect the kind of output, the release process of a song, the audience that you reach and the success that song can have. So I really think it's important to have a strong internet image. Even approaching labels nowadays, in fact, an amateur musician looking to get a publishing deal, a management deal, needs a really high quality of demo to approach with in order to even get the interest, because so many people are producing music themselves at home nowadays. So my business is giving clients the best chance they have to kind of get a step up above the crowd and really make some content that stands out. Short-term goals for the Sound Parlour include increasing my online audience size, so my social media following, which is going to help me push the songs that I release, and also to reach more clients, which is ultimately going to lead to more revenue coming in as more work is undergone. Long-term goals involve getting myself involved in the writing side of things. So at the moment, it's production, mixing, mastering, engineering, but I don't do so much of the songwriting, which is where the real credits are on the revenue, say. So like collecting through PRS and stuff. So hopefully, my long-term goal is to get more involved in that, and rather than having such a large upfront payment, I take a percentage over time, and that builds. I also aim to create a better space for clients, people coming in to work with me, a more comfortable creative space, much better equipment, so I can really make sure that the quality of the input is as high as it possibly can be, so that the quality of the output can also be high. Yes, better equipment, a nicer space, and then therefore a better output. This money would really go a long way with the Sound Parlour. I am looking to spend, if I were to win, about £700 on gear, on equipment. So improving my preamps, my converters, my microphones, to really make sure that the quality of the output is as high as it possibly can be. £80 I would put towards increasing the bandwidth of the Sound Parlour website, which would mean I could have more traffic to my website, reach more clients, and ultimately increase the amount of work that the Sound Parlour does. And the final £220 I look to spend on targeted social media advertising. So targeted adverts through YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, on music-related videos, music-related pages. So I'm really reaching songwriters, musicians, people on the border between semi-professional and professional who need that extra boost, and could really get some use out of my services. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Corbin. Right, would anyone like to ask the first question? I'll go first if that's okay. I mean, I think it's fascinating to hear about your project. Lovely to see your video, and well done with everything you've achieved so far.
Thank you.
One of the things that that you mentioned was the online marketing using the social media. I just wondered how much have you looked into that, because I mean that's quite an art, isn't it? Honing down exactly who you want to target and how.
It's a skill in itself. I know that the Facebook ad manager helps you filter and create an audience that you know gets results. So I'm getting more comfortable using that, and hopefully the thing is I currently don't have the funds to really put more than £50 into that at a time. And I think to see those results, you do need to put slightly more funds into it. So hopefully this would really allow me to make the most of that targeted social media advertising system, and really be able to see some results.
Corbin, can you tell us a bit more about who the kind of audience, or who the kind of your potential clients or customers are at this point? Because I'm not totally clear on whether by kind of amateur and semi-professional artists, whether you're referring to people who are like students and they're on the way to becoming professionals, or whether it's actually just people who are existing in that kind of semi-professional amateur world maybe, and they're not students. It's just something that they kind of do on the side.
I think it is, for me, it's a mix of both. It can be students. There are a lot of people at the RNCM, especially on the pop course, who I know are looking to create really high quality content and release music themselves without like a record deal, who would maybe give them that funding that they need to go out and hire a fancy studio and record like a really nice sounding piece of music. I want to give people who don't have those opportunities like that kind of content. Does that make sense? So it's songwriters of any age. It's just below that professional threshold where people are pumping money in, and you can go to a studio and you don't have to worry about how much money is being spent on microphones or whatever. And it's that funding is external. This is for people who are looking to fund it themselves, who need a cheap, affordable way of getting the highest quality output.
That was my first question, is who is your ideal client? Yes. And I think really defining that would be really good. I mean, I don't know if you can say even a bit more than you just did.
Sure. It would be a singer-songwriter who has maybe 2 or 3 songs and is looking to make like an EP or an album or even a single, and needs help recording and producing and moving their song from just them playing in their bedroom with an acoustic guitar to something that they can put on Spotify and have it sound like they've been to an expensive studio. So my ideal client is, I wouldn't even limit to an age group. I think as students, there are a lot of people at that ability level, especially at music college, who have those songs and have the talent to have a listening and an audience. They just need that platform to show themselves. So yes, so someone in their bedroom, writing songs, wanting to have a professional recording done.
And can you tell us about the margins on that, Corbin? So how much does it cost you to deliver the service, and what's the pricing at for the clients?
So now that I've bought the equipment and I've done the initial spending, it only costs my time. So I currently price recording and mixing and producing a single at £100. And then if people are looking to create a video to go with that song, I will do a 1-minute Instagram video, which I will edit and produce as well for an additional £50, and then a 3-minute, which is often the length of the song, your average pop song, for another £100.
And sorry, my last question on this is like, how much time do you estimate that you're kind of putting into? Because I mean, that's very competitive. I mean, I'm really like, I'd love it if our guys were making content for us at that rate. But I'd be curious to know how much of that is actually margin, because I mean, I guess you can't scale that indefinitely.
Yes. So I agree that it is definitely competitive. And in the long run, I do hope to increase my prices. On average, I will probably spend about 10 hours recording, mixing, and producing a track. The reason I have set my prices low at the moment is because I really do enjoy doing it. So for me, it's what I do with my free time. I love it. So to make money on the side at the moment is amazing. If I were to grow the business and get a reputation and have more clients producing and releasing music under the Sound Parlour, I would be able to raise my prices as people would be able to see the quality of the content that they were going to be able to receive. So on average, about 10 hours per song. And then for a minute video, 3 hours.
I don't think that's a problem at this point, that I mean, obviously, like at those rates, this isn't a profitable venture at all. But I think that at the beginning of any kind of venture like this, you kind of have to put in that time. And I guess, you're building your own skills as well. And there's a real value to that, the fact that you're getting a lot of practice.
Yes, I want to keep my learning curve as steep as it can be for the moment. And also just securing the funding to increase my, improve my equipment so that my content can be as high quality as possible, I think is a priority for me at this early stage.
Okay, can I come in? Corbin, thank you very much, and congratulations on what you've already achieved so far, because you have already answered in your presentation and some of the answers to Michelle and Adam that what I was interested in is how you've got to this stage, and interested in some of the work that you've already done. So it maybe draws on the idea of who your clients were or who you've been working with, and where did you find them? How did you get hold of them? Yeah.
So I started this when I got my first computer at age 14, and I downloaded Reaper and I started producing music, not really knowing that I was producing music. I just wanted to make music, and I really enjoyed it. And from there, it led on. I live in Bath in the south, and there were other musicians on the local scene who I began recording for and playing with. And I wasn't doing it for money then, it was just because I wanted to do it. And eventually that led to me meeting a few people who were going to the RNCM, who I produced music for. And they told me about the RNCM, so I auditioned. And then from there, I mean, I've just continued to produce with more people, more musicians from the pop course and the classical course. And I have reached out to people that I've been in bands with, or people who I know my friends are in bands with, to get clients. So the client that I'm currently working with this week is a girl called Zuzu from Liverpool. And we just worked on 2 songs for Adventure Time. It's a show on Cartoon Network. And we recorded and produced 2 tracks, which are going to be featured on the show in a month's time. And hopefully it's meeting artists like that I will be able to, if I do something like the Adventure Time project, people see it, they understand it and they know it, and I can use that to say, I've done this, so you can trust me and you can see my quality of work, and it helps me reach out to others.
I mean, that's awesome, Corbin. Adventure Time is massive.
Yeah, it was a really good opportunity.
Lisa, did you have a follow-up to that?
There wasn't a specific about that, but it was really to just reflecting on how you could use that experience, build your reputation, build your credibility. And I think Adam has said about that. But the one thing that I also wanted to say, and I noticed in your application form, that you have very clear goals and you've got indicators in there, so you know if you're making progress.
Right. So yes,
I see and I hear that you're working to achieve those in terms of the number of followers and the number of records.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am. I'm currently, I think my target for June 2020 was to have 4,000 followers. I'm at 3,500 roughly.
Okay.
It was to have 50 songs recorded, I think, and I'm at 50 songs. Between June 2020 and June 2021, I aim to make £9,000 in revenue. Currently, because of the Adventure Time project, I'm at about £2,000. So I'm feeling confident, but I still need to secure some more work for this year to achieve that goal.
Okay, good luck.
Corbin, do we have time for, can I go in with another question, Michelle? Is that all right?
One more quick one, yeah.
Yeah. So Corbin, it feels like there's kind of a tension in this project in between the kind of creative side of the business, which is you kind of developing your songwriting skills, and then the kind of production side of the business. And I should say that I guess in my position, I'm often quite skeptical of like all-in-one solutions, because quite often you get something that is kind of, organizations that can do everything kind of okayly, but nothing particularly to an outstanding standard. And so I guess my question is, like, over the next 5 years, where do you see this kind of going? And are you planning to specialize in any of these particular areas?
Ultimately, for my own career, I would love to be a producer. That's the work I do most at the moment. I actually think, for me, songwriting and production and part writing, they all go hand in hand. I know if you were to ask PRS, song lyrics and chords make up a lot of that songwriting, copyright ownership. But I think that, like, I don't aim to specialize in anything particularly. I would like to move away from the mixing and mastering side of things, which I think is a technical process as opposed to a creative process. And then to be able to fully immerse myself in songwriting, production, part writing, and part playing. I definitely agree with you that quite often these one-stop solutions mean that you get a half-hearted job on across the board. But I like to think that I do a different job from that. I'm a multi-instrumentalist, and so I quite often end up playing all of the parts on the song, which kind of gives me complete creative control as to what, if a client tells me what they want, I really feel like I can make that happen. It's not like I take someone in and I set aside 3 hours to do their song, and whatever the musicians give me on that day is what they get out. I can repair audio, I can play parts in, and I really make sure that the quality of the output is as high as I possibly can make it, which hopefully means that people don't feel like they're leaving this thinking, oh, I wish I'd done all of the steps individually.
Thank you. We should probably finish there to keep to time, if that's all right. But thank you very much, Corbin. You are free to leave us now.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Corbin.
Thank you. Good luck.
Just a couple of housekeeping points. The first one is that because I stopped and started the live stream, we now need a different YouTube link. So I have shared that around, and hopefully people are jumping back onto this YouTube link. And at this point, before we welcome Joseph, let's just mention as well that this event wouldn't be possible without a lot of support from friends of the RNCM. So Yamaha, thank you very much for their support. Everyone in the Principals Circle, all of your unfailing and very important support, and all our anonymous donors, because this event and events like this wouldn't be able to happen without you. So thank you very much to all of you. So I can see that Joseph is in the waiting room. Are we okay to welcome him in? Great. Hi, Joseph. You're on mute at the moment.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi, nice to see you.
Sorry if I ask you, is not my colleague Alejandro in the waiting room?
Yes, this is your colleague who you mentioned will be joining you for the questions.
Sure, sure.
I'll let him in. I know you've had some internet problems, Joseph, but it looks like it's working okay.
Okay, that's great.
So are you all set to go?
Sorry?
Are you all ready to go?
Yes, I think we are.
Over to you.
Okay. So we are Azahar, an ensemble format at RNCM in 2019. Azahar consists of guitars, bassoon, and percussions. Our core influences are Mediterranean, Latin American, and classical music coming together. We decided to mix Alejandro's Latin American guitar playing with my bassoon. The majority of classical music lovers still associate the bassoon with the orchestra or traditional repertoire. I said, even with ancient music like Baroque or Renaissance music. This will be the first time they have this instrumental combination, texture and artistic expressions together, as we work as well with a flamenco dancer. Our intention is to unite musicians, composers, and artists from different musical cultures and traditions. We want to celebrate diversity. We want to inspire the public. Our audiences should expect from us not just a concert, but an experience. There are several bands working along similar lines in UK. I mean, combining foreign musical elements, but none with our emphasis on Hispanic and Latin folk musics. We are ready to fill this gap, and we believe that we have the knowledge, passion, and culture background necessary to do so. Athar is distinctive from our competitors because it provides a compelling performance which extends and expands the usual classical concept of concert. Moreover, because this group features a bassoon as central instrument in a unique way along a new guitar concept. We have already made contact with groups outside the UK, and we have also worked with the cellist Abel Selachue. We have much to learn from this musician and about how to create and sustain ourselves within the industry. We would also welcome mentorship from other entrepreneurs who can also help us create a successful and sustainable business. We want to enrich our research about our musical roots by visiting indigenous folk artists in the south of Andalusia, Spain. Visiting dancers and musicians would be key to understand how they work together in the flamenco aesthetic. In order to accomplish this, we would ask for extra funding in the near future from associations like Help Musician, Institut Valencià de Cultura, Instituto Cervantes, or other similar institutions supporting the culture and music. We already put 1 hour concert in RNCM last week in February, which was extremely well received by the public. We feel we are now ready to incorporate ethnic instrument and electronic equipment in our next productions, as well as audiovisual elements. RNCM can offer us invaluable help for this, but we want to learn from professionals outside the traditional conservatory and connect with musical creators and the world with musical world scene today, such as Manchester Collective, Chesaba, Kachichi, and the School of Oriental and African Studies London World Music Department. So what are our next steps and why do we need your help? Basically, we cannot move to the next level without the help of this funding. We have agreed with Abel Selachue for some coaching. It'll be 7 hours, 30 per hour, so 270, to help with our next concert. This concert will be happening the 15th of November in Band on the Wall. This is a great opportunity to get professional live video and recordings from the rehearsals as well. And that would cost other 200 minimum. This will allow us to best share our music and content through the means of our own website. Getting guidance on how to design and sustain it will be other expenses we have to consider, around £150. As well as this, it all requires particular electronic and technical equipment, right? For making it possible, we need a specific bassoon microphone, a guitar amplifier to start with, and altogether it will be like around £300. It is equally important to acquire diverse ethnic instruments to keep shaping our sound, and we will need to start buying some percussion for the value of £150 at the beginning. Our ultimate goal is to have an established and stable group working actively in Europe. It may be obvious, but we are not at that final vision, but we are on the way towards it. Thank you for your consideration for this prize, and thank you for trusting in art as a way for life.
Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Can I jump in with the first question and ask the obvious one?
Okay.
How does this work in a post-COVID world?
Well, this is one of the big reasons we need this equipment, this electric equipment, right? We are very lucky. I feel that social media, all the internet communication, it's helping artists, creators to share their work, even to work together. There are many platforms, apps, and ways to find a way to connect between musicians. But we need amplifiers, we need pedals, we need microphones to share in a good quality and good conditions our work.
Thanks, Joseph. So I guess if the kind of, you know, the venture or the business here is the ensemble, then the road to you guys succeeding is for as many people to come across your work as possible and to get excited about it. That's going to be the kind of route to kind of concert bookings or touring or kind of recordings. Can you tell us a bit about
about the plan that you have for kind of marketing the group and for sort of putting it in front of people that can help you on the way to kind of building an audience?
Okay. Maybe Alejandro, do you want to reply? I think you're on mute.
Sorry, can you hear me? Perfect. Okay, well, hello, my name is Alejandro. We have planned to do this by recording first our music. So we have the means to produce our music, to mix it, and to master it to some degree, to create a demo. That demo will then be sent to some record labels or even festivals, but also use that recording to put into websites, basically share the music as much as we can so we can attract as many audience as it's possible. And that's the plan right now. First is to record the music. We have already some compositions. Others are still being developed, but the music is being developed. It exists. We just need to record it. And we also need to create a video. And basically, all the marketing we're going to do is going to be based off of those two elements, the audio and the video.
Can I ask, I mean, there are obviously quite a lot of artists that are experimenting like this. I'm thinking of somebody like Alex Dariescu, who did piano, ballet and audiovisual mapping. I'm just wondering who you're looking to in the market that you particularly admire, and if there is artists that are doing that, what are you learning about how they're marketing and building audiences for these more unusual combinations?
Can you go for this, Alejandro?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well,
Say.
so we have a few examples of artists. Amongst them, there are one. Okay, so the Netherlands Blazers Ensemble, Manchester Collective are examples of this experimental ensembles. Also, Patax is an ensemble of Spanish flamenco with other types of fusion. It's very much instrumental fusion. And basically, we want to direct all our efforts into ads that are paid in both Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, that can generate enough views to reach out. And
is there anything you're learning from those examples, though, of what they're doing that is leading them to be commercially successful?
yes, of course. So the fusion of various world instruments is what creates the spectacle. In our case, the group is very keen to make fusion with Latin American music and flamenco. So we're counting on the spectacular performance wise of the instrumentalists. It's for flamenco groups, I would say the passion that is put into the music is what calls the audience. There is this ambient created by the passion in the music. So we're trying to mix both Latin American music in that sense and flamenco music. It is all very aiming towards creating a spectacle for the spectator. So we are focused on creating something that is absolutely mind-blowing to capture the attention. These groups that we've seen, such as Cavantu, Manchester Collective, they all focus on that element, which is basically surprising the public with something that they've never seen. And when you accomplish this, you're also proving that the performance has some sort of spirit lying underneath that calls upon people. So it is very important that we keep on mixing all these different cultures, because they themselves enrich our ensemble, because our ensemble has multiple people from multiple countries. So that element of really makes it unexpected. I would say that we have to work on that element specifically.
Sorry, Alejandro, if I can add something to this, that is basically the same. These groups that we find inspiration from, they have something very particular. They mix some musics together, or they mix some styles together and create their own character or personality. That's what we mainly find inspiration on them, right? And in our case, it's based in this Latin and Hispanic influences. Yeah. We're targeting these to mainly two groups that I would say. First one, it would be like a generational gap, like between 35 and 50 years maybe old. It's people who traveled, people who has a career, who likes different to discover and to learn different cultures from the world, might be interested. They also may have the income to pay for tickets for the concerts, maybe for other kind of support even. Also another kind of target could be young people, students. In Manchester, it's full of students from around the world. They could be interested. Of course, people coming from Latin America and from Spain. But this would be like a second level of targeting, because students, we do not have the money for support each other at the moment.
Thank you.
Any more, maybe one more quick question?
Yeah, can I ask a question? I think it's really interesting to hear your work. Thank you both. So collaboration is obviously key to what you're doing. And I'm interested in what you think then are the challenges as well as the benefits of actually working together. And indeed, if you've got a wider group that you've mentioned there, Alejandro. So, but the challenges and the benefits of working in this collaborative way.
You go for it, Alejandro?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Well, that is one of our strongest points, I believe, just collaboration, because as I've said before, it really enriches the music to be able to work with musicians from all over the world, because everyone puts in their experience and their own signature sound, if you could say that. And well, now that we are mixing these concepts, I believe it's very interesting to see the collaboration, because when we introduce a foreign genre like flamenco to people who have studied classical music all their lives, there is certainly a different spin on it that they can put. And this in itself is the ensemble. Plus we are bringing this fusion of rhythms, which basically is going to allow us to come in and out of this fusion. And we have this element also that I was lucky to study in Mexico with an Armenian, Cuban, Mexican guitarist who invented a technique based on flamenco. So it's a right-hand technique, a fusion guitar technique, which uses elements from flamenco strumming techniques and an own original invention. So we are also looking to incorporate that with the guitarists that also are part of the ensemble. And this type of collaboration is what creates our compositions. Our composition is based on something that we develop and everybody pitches in. And that is how we will collaborate, and how it's turned out fantastically, because we managed to create something original and something that has never been done.
We believe that working together enriches each other, really. So I guess that why all the people believes in the core of the group, and the mixture of the group is where we will find energies for keep ahead and sense.
That's a lovely final sentiment. We should all live by that, shouldn't we? We're better working together. That's fantastic. So we're out of time, but thank you very much, Josep and Alejandro, for joining us. You're very welcome to leave, and thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Great. So we've got Amy in the waiting room, and then we'll have our 5-minute break after Amy. Are we okay if I invite Amy in? Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy. How you doing?
You're on mute at the moment.
Hear me?
Can you just try that? Just try that sound again, Amy. It sounds like you're a bit quiet. One more time.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, great. I'm going to start with a song. You connect to me, close-carded and non-committal, committal. You read me empty verse. You know I cling to more than a little. I wait patiently, but this book is thinning. Whatever you give me is not enough. The words you repeat are just, they're dry enough. I need you to say that you love me more than it hurts, that you love me more. I'm going to switch mics back. Hello, can you hear me again? Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. Gorgeous.
Thank you. Whatever you give me is not enough is actually a love song, but obviously it's quite funny in this platform. Not monetary related. Okay, I'm starting my timer. My name is Amy, and at the start of applying for this, I was kind of thinking, oh, what's my project going to be? And then I realized that actually the project could be me. So I am today's project, and it's about developing me as an artist and as a brand. I'm a singer in many different ways. I have my original music. I'm also a session singer, a musical comedian, and I also teach and lead workshops. But today I wanted to focus on my original music, which goes under the name Amy, except spelt E-I-M-I-E. So my brand, my music has been described as a cross between Joni Mitchell and Lewis Capaldi. And my kind of key brand characteristics are integrity and honesty, a pinch of humor, which I can't seem to escape from, and the feminist voice. And the feminist voice is really important to me because this last year I've been through a really transformative time as an artist, particularly with my original music, because through being at RNCM and other outside factors, I've had loads of female role models, and they've really helped me to gain the confidence in expressing my musical voice, writing and releasing my own music, and also in using music tech and just technology in general, which has aided me in expressing my voice. So I know how vital these role models were to me, and I want other people to understand that narrative and to also inspire others. My USP is my personality. And the way I present myself, I'm honest and I'm open, and yeah, constantly also trying to crack small jokes while also being taken seriously, hopefully. I originally trained as an opera singer, so my voice is also part of my USP. I have a really versatile voice and a unique tone to it. This sounds really big-headed, but you've got to say these things, haven't you? And also I've got my theatrical training, so I'm a really good performer. I'm communicative, whether it's through a laptop screen, hopefully, or in a smelly, dingy basement when I'm doing a gig. My main objectives, I've got short term, so like 5 months, and then long term, which are kind of 5 years. So my short term is to release my first EP. So that will be 3 separate songs with staggered releases and lyric music videos. To buy a piano that's better than that one I'm borrowing at the moment, and get some piano lessons. Continue to engage with fans and build new fans through live streams and collaborations. And in particular, attracting the attention of females further on in their journey than I to collaborate with as well. Online at the moment, everything's online. So I'm going to talk as in the next 5 months is still COVID. Then 5 years, COVID-free, hopefully, working towards getting signed by a record label and releasing my first album. Touring, playing at music festivals, gaining fans in that way, and also through supporting bigger artists in larger venues. 5 years plus would be to set up a female-led record label as well. Since lockdown, I've already been busy doing lots of things. My initial proposal, I said I wanted to apply for funding to make a website, but I've gone ahead and done that because I couldn't wait. So I'm going to share my screen with you now and show you my website, I think. Can you see that, hopefully? So here's my screen. Yeah, so here's my website and some of the things I talked about that I've done. Oops, I just zoomed in, never mind. So this is one of the collaborations I've done since lockdown. I've done 3 that have been female only ones because a lot of the lockdown collabs have been quite male dominated. So that's that. And then I also did a live stream. There's my live stream. And then there's lots of other stuff on here to do with what I do. So there's my website. And what else was I going to tell you? I've also done, some live streams, which I've told you about, and lots of collabs. So my budget, the funding would go towards a piano, which I've already mentioned, and the gear that comes with a piano, so like a stool and a case and stand, and piano lessons, and also a new camera, which would be a GoPro Black. I've got prices for those if you want to ask me in the questions. And I've kind of rattled through this. So in conclusion, invest in me and you will see this money used wisely for me to be an influential artist that hopefully you have begun to see. That's the end.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Bonus rhymes to boot.
It's a bit cheesy, but anyway, never mind.
Thanks, Amy. Who would like to kick off with the questions?
I'll go first. I'm interested in what you say about building a brand because I'm really interested in that. And I think I've learned by experience that less is more. So if we pack too much into it, we lose people completely. So the question I usually ask entrepreneurs is what do you want to be known for? So if people were playing back to you what you wanted to be known for, what would it be in a nutshell?
So in a nutshell, it would probably just be, well, I would definitely be someone really memorable. So it would be someone that they would instantly go, oh yeah, Amy Webber or Amy. Definitely someone funny and definitely someone who's a great performer. So I guess it depends. Yeah, if you're just talking about my Amy stuff, it would be like, oh yeah, she was an amazing performer and gave me goosebumps with her voice. That would probably be I don't know, there's lots really, but yeah, it would be my voice.
Yeah, I think as you think about building the brand, just really focus on that question, because then you start to generate your content around the answer to that question. And very quickly the brand builds if you are, really keep to that and don't pack too much in. Yeah. Naturally, as artists, we try and tell people everything about us and everything we've got to offer. And in fact, I think you could do brilliantly if you do the opposite.
Yeah.
So zone in on those 1 or 2 things that you want to be about your platform or what you want to say.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. I think then it should be my voice. That's what. Yeah.
Thanks, Amy. I wanted to ask a bit about the kind of sort of entrepreneurship side of this pitch. I mean, it goes without saying that the kind of art side of this is sort of under control, and I have absolutely no doubts in your ability to kind of keep growing your sort of artistic skills when it comes to kind of vocal training or the piano stuff. But I suppose I was wondering if you could tell us more about maybe go into some more specifics about your plan to kind of build an audience base, and then particularly about the record label, which you sort of mentioned as a 5 years out sort of activity, but actually it feels like if you're going to start a record label, then there's also nothing to really stop you doing that now, is there?
No, and I suppose in a way I am actually starting to do that without realizing, because in the music I'm already making, and I haven't released a song yet under this name, Amy. I have a band, K's, that I have worked with for the last 4 years, who I was like the manager for and the lead singer and the lyricist, but I didn't write the music. Anyway, so through that I've kind of met people through the industry as I've gone. So for example, and I've always been drawn to trying to work with females where I can. So there's female radio presenters who I've been working with. There's a female producers, one of whom I did a lockdown collaboration with. There's also a mixing engineer and a master as in, a music masterer. So I'm starting to build a network of females to work with, and I suppose that in a way that will form part of the record label as I go. So yeah, that is something I'm starting to think about already. And then in the kind of shorter term of financial side of things, obviously as a small artist, if I'm doing support gigs for people, I'm going to get sort of £50 to 500. It's not going to be big bucks. So I plan to keep making money as I am now through teaching and workshop leading. And as I grow in my own writing and tech capabilities, then I hope to also be able to lead workshops in actually using Ableton and Logic, as well as songwriting, and just generally like confidence building and building your voice. My workshops would be aimed at young females, but not exclusively female identifying people. Yeah, does that answer your question? And then obviously as I grow as an artist, I will start to get like sponsorship and more money through it, but initially it will be through teaching as well to support it.
Can I go next, Amy? Oh, Lisa was going to jump in. Go on, Lisa, you go first.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you, Michelle. Amy, thank you very much. I'll say, I love your energy. And we're sitting here kind of smiling, and I also love the fact when you're talking and recognizing the impact and the influence that you can have, and the importance of role models. And I say that with my hat of working at the women's organisation, so charity supporting women's economic development, and I can really see the value and the strength in that. So love all of that, but must agree with Michelle as well in terms of the brand that you have, and think there is, I would see for you that the challenge is being there's where to focus, because there's so much potential, and you think, okay, there's so many opportunities as well. So maybe about thinking, what is it that's most important at this point in time, and being helpful, taking that kind of approach so that you can channel your energies in particular areas at particular times. And it's not to say that things aren't all achievable, but they rarely all happen at the same time, not least because of the environment and things that we're working in. So it was a general comment really about recognizing it and valuing your input, and to ask you then, if there was one thing that you could focus on in the next week, what would that be?
In the next week?
Or weeks, yeah.
So the thing I would focus on, or the thing that I am going to be?
Well, tell us what you are going to do then.
So I have written and recorded my first single, and I am getting someone to mix it. And then while the mix is complete, I'm also applying for AWOL, which is like a distribution company. So I've been coming up with my biog for Amy, and I've completed that now, but looking through quotes and things that people have said about me, so I have a good biog. And so I've sent all the stems to the mixer basically for her to mix, and that's what I'm doing this week.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know, there'll be loads of side things going on. I did a live stream on Saturday, so I'm also going to edit little clips of that to put on my Instagram, because the live stream was on Facebook. So it's quite important to me to have different content, but also make sure I'm posting on both, because I have slightly different audiences on Facebook compared to Instagram. Yeah.
Amy, can you tell us if there was one place where you were going to be in, say, 5 years, like what is that place? Like, I mean, we've all now asked the same question in like 3 different ways, but I just want to push you on this. Like, what's the best case scenario for you? Because I'm sure it's not that you're doing a little bit of all of these things in much the same way as you're doing now. So tell us where, like, how will you know that you've succeeded?
Okay, I definitely would go on Jules Holland and Graham Norton. So I do a performance on Graham Norton. I mean, and the same people seem to have the managers that get them on both shows, you know, around the same time. And it would all probably coincide with my album release. So it would be around me doing, and, you know, Graham Norton would be perfect because I play my song and they're like, oh, great song. And then I sit on the sofa and obviously charm them with my charisma and my comic timing. And so also it's so weird talking about all this because you just feel so big-headed, like, you know, saying my brand is my voice, just anyway. So apologies, because I probably need to do more of it, but it feels kind of like, so that's my 5-year. And to coincide with that, that's in terms of media, I would be gigging in about sort of 300 capacity venues. So for example, in Manchester, that would be like the Deaf Institute. And as well as doing my own headline gigs for 300 capacity, I would be supporting bigger artists. So for example, some female artists like Liz Lawrence or Dirty Projectors is a band, but they're 3 men and 3 women, which I love because there aren't many bands with equal numbers. And supporting bigger artists like that who would be playing to, say, a 1,000 capacity. Yeah. And then in 10 years, I'll be headlining Glastonbury and supporting Bjork, things like that.
Great. Amy, can I just ask one final one? You mentioned you'd spend a lot of money on a piano and piano lessons, but you know, I know you also play the ukulele and you do things without any instrument. And I just wonder how big a part of your plan is to play the piano, because it seems, you know, you've got other things you could focus on without needing to do that.
Yeah. So the thing about the piano, and basically in February, I did a song in the Royal Exchange, and it was the first time I'd ever sang and played piano at the same time, like in a performance. So I've always played chords, and I kind of thought I wasn't very good at piano. And then I did this, and people were like, why don't you do more gigs where you just play for yourself? And basically it's come from not wanting to rely on anyone else. I don't want to have to wait for musicians to say, yes, I'm free, or no, I'm not free. Also, a lot of the musicians that I worked with in the past were male, and not that that was a bad thing, but sometimes when I was like teaching them new songs or trying to show them new ideas, then I realized I was feeling quite intimidated, like someone saying, oh, I like that song, like what key is it in? And then me being like, well, I don't actually know what key it's in, but you know, these are the chords, but I'm not sure what. And because to me, that's not how I write. I mean, since doing my master's, my musicianship has got better. So now wanting to be better at the piano is so I can go out on my own and I don't have to coordinate with loads of other musicians. Obviously, I have a band as well. I have a bass player and a guitar player and a drummer, and they're super nice. And the aim would be to tour with a band. But I also want to be able to go on my own. I want to do it on my own, have that capacity anyway. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Great. Thank you very much, Amy. That was really interesting. You are free to leave us.
I've had a great time chatting.
Okay, thank
you. Bye.
Okay, so Richard's in the waiting room, but let's have a few minutes break just to grab a drink, and I'll leave the stream running for people watching it. But maybe if we start again about 9 or 10 minutes past, maybe just if we just all turn off our audio and our video now and reconvene, and then we'll see Richard in about 4 minutes. Great. So I had the order wrong. Richard's in the waiting room, but so is Zara, and Zara's on next. So are we happy to, if I invite Zara in?
Great.
Hi, Zara. I think you're on mute.
I'm no longer on mute now, hopefully.
Great. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm just making sure my share screen is ready for later. Fab, I think that's okay.
Great, we're ready when you are.
Grand, okay. So Kickstart Opera is a non-profit organisation offering incredible experiences of newly arranged and composed children's opera for kids all around the UK. So experiences will be delivered by an incredible team of emerging artists, composers, and young educators. And experiences will be delivered through our holiday schools, our primary school tour workshops, and one-to-one and group music tuition, and also direct online participation on our website and social media platforms. So this all started from a quick revelation starting on my first day at RNCM. And it was simply the fact that I would not be there if it wasn't essentially the help from my school to access music. So growing up in a rural life had its perks, but it did mean a 3-hour journey to school every day. But if it wasn't for those 3 hours, I wouldn't have access-free one-to-one music lessons in my school from an opera singer, which led me to studying it at a conservatoire. So the problem faced by the majority of children all around the UK is that they may find themselves in a similar situation as me with the distance, or facing much bigger financial or geographical obstacles, and therefore can't get the opportunity or essentially the help in order to overcome them. So we all know government funding in arts education and arts industry in general at the moment is quite a problem, but this is where Kickstart Opera steps in. So what we do is we offer an affordable but high value service for our participants on all of our projects. But it will also be communicated clearly that anyone facing financial difficulty or hardship accessing our courses, the company will help them access to scholarship and bursaries upon application. So the company will also cut out distance barrier by, instead of expecting the participants and children to come to us, we go to them. But all of this couldn't be possible without our investment in emerging artists and young educators. This is a major part and predominantly the other half of Kickstart Opera, you could say. Our creativity in our arranged operas and compositions means that everything is our own and kept to our copyright, leading to opportunities to lease out made-up project teaching packs to other schools, teaching institutions. Therefore, another income comes to us and also to the creator. So obviously I've had to tear up and restart 15 different business plans because of this pandemic situation, but the experience will hopefully make us highly adaptable to unforeseen circumstances like this one. So I'll just show you to our website. So this is our website right now, and as you can see, we had a fantastic time on our arrangement of the Magic Flute in February 2020, and also in our condensed primary school tour pre-COVID times that was supported in kind and funded by Footlights Theatre Limited and Salford Foundation Trust. But now we've branched quite a lot online now, and meeting this really lovely demand of online teaching after our successful workshops on YouTube and also online via Zoom. So in terms of our financial model, this is now our predicted budget. This is very much predicted and summarised, by the way, but with our project agenda, this is coinciding over the course of the year till mid-2021. Together with our estimated revenues, we've budgeted for a 20% surplus, which acts as a contingency as well fund with any surplus used to resource future projects. So I'm just going to start sharing it. So at the moment, it's been myself with a billion different hats on, trying to manage everything, but wouldn't at all be possible without amazing friends and colleagues and contacts now based all around the UK. Eventually, I require a team with the expertise, especially in marketing and admin, who can really help voice our opportunities to a wider audience. We're looking in the next 5 years to build a sustainable and stable financial framework with this contingency fund to allow us to reach our goals. This will also guarantee our ability to deliver high quality experiences for everyone involved and being far more desirable to those funding organisations. So what I'm asking of you today is giving us necessary mentorship to train us into achieving our next step, reaching a larger audience and larger scale of the company. That way, when we grow, our opportunities grow. So funding from grants such as this one is mainly going to be funded and invested in towards our marketing, which is, we will invest in consultancy to get to find the optimum engagement on social media and our website, and also direct marketing for our future projects. And also during our projects when they happen, which we've got one provisionally booked in October, hopefully it happens. We've got audio and visual. We want that recorded, so when we apply that to marketing, it's really eye-catching and gets those people involved. So again, so it's also been trained into selling ourselves to panels, trusts, business investors, third-party members and stakeholders, and a panel like this today to really help us reach another level of desirability for those participants and funders, so we can truly reach out to everyone waiting for an opportunity like Kickstart Opera. So thank you so much for listening. I look forward to hearing any questions you have.
Thanks, Sarah. So yeah, just to remind people watching, so there's 2 outcomes of the Entrepreneurship Award. There's the financial award, and then the successful applicants will work within the RNCM to find you a mentor from our contacts. So it's interesting that you mentioned that as well, Sarah, the things that you need from a mentor. Thank you. I'll ask the first question if that's all right, Chair's prerogative. So has it worked? Of the children that you've reached, have you reached mini Zaras? Have you reached those people who wouldn't otherwise have been able to access music?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there was what we did after our Magic Flute in February. So this was already on quite a reduced cost access to the workshop, and also through the Salford Foundation Trust. This girl that I'll keep unnamed for now accessed our course for free through that Salford Foundation Trust. And after we got feedback forms that they filled in, and she said to us that her dream was to be an opera singer. And that was enough, really enough there to be said that we really moved her. And yet that experience was just amazing. That workshop, it was honestly one of the happiest I ever had on my course. It was highly rewarding for us as well as the children.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sarah. And thank you as well for a presentation that told us a lot of what we needed to know. I just wanted to start off with a bit of a general one about, where do you see the organization, 5 years down the line, like where do you want to be, and what, who do you want to be working with, and what do you want to be doing at that point?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, collaboration and key partners is going to be essential for us. I would really love for us to be holding multiple projects at a time, all around the UK. So instead of having Magic Flute once, we'd have it in multiple places around the UK with different teams and loads of educators working and getting money from it as well. And really long-term goals. It'd be amazing to have a residency eventually once we have a high enough demand in a certain area, while also reaching those other locations as well. Really trying to change the music education scene, which is not in a great place at the moment, but that's hopefully we're joining the fight almost. Better. Can
you be a bit more specific, Zara, and tell me what does that look like when you're delivering, like, say, a bunch of Magic Flutes around the country? Like what does that specifically involve?
So this would be out of term, like holiday schools in their outside of school, basically. So we would work in schools as well. That's another part of the project, but also that holiday in the school holidays, you could say. And we would recruit children from a community to be involved in this, and they would put a production. That's also a major part of the fact that quite a lot of our competitors, you could say, they don't produce like a theatrical production at the end, which I find is so vital for the learning process that children really, really engage with. So they have a final result from this experience.
Well, it's quite tough in music education at the moment. There is quite a lot of stuff similar to this out there. You know, there's the outreach of all the major opera companies. There are school-specific programs like ABC of Opera. So where do you, I mean, a bit related to what Adam said, where do you fit in, and what makes you different as well?
Exactly. It's like our USP, you could say. Well, what our energy, what we bring as a young company is quite different as well, and we're working with young professionals, commissioning our own work as well that we've composed ourselves. But composing our own works, you can say all that and everything, but the difference in ours is that we've made it relatable to children, and children can have their voice heard. So the best way I can example is, again, going back to Magic Flute, but what we did, because it's a fairy tale that's unknown to children, what we did is we did it through a video game. So the children all obsessed with Minecraft nowadays, it seems to be. We did it through that, so it made it really relatable to them, and we did it with a projector at the back of the screen where the children came out of the video game, you could say, onto stage, and they absolutely loved that idea. And they were working with me and all these other emerging artists which were young, and we made it really clear that their voice was heard. So any little comments that they wanted, or could we try, would it be better if we did it this way, in a direction, that was heard, and we acted upon that. So it's much more of a conversation.
And does
sorry, go on, Michelle.
No, I was just going to say, you say non-profit. I mean, the success of something like this is going to be in the organisational structure, in my experience in fundraising. So what do you see it as?
Exactly. Well, at the moment, we see it as a non-profit organisation because it's about bettering the community, and we're reinvesting all of that money back in. We're not keeping it for profits.
But would it be a charity or a CIC, or what's your
absolutely model? It depends on what regulations we meet with that, and this is something that I definitely need to get advice on, to make sure that I make the right decision, because times are changing so much. But at this current time, we're definitely working under that NPO umbrella, and open to making decisions of where the company takes us as well.
Thank you.
Certainly, there's a lot of funding which is not going to be an option for you until you do adopt that kind of legal structure of a non-profit. I mean, I really love the idea of emerging artists, working with the children, because, you sort of get this kind of double hit of educational kind of professional development activity. And there's no right or wrong answer to this, but as you stop emerging and you become a merged artist, are you planning to then like book, younger artists to be running the workshops who are still emerging? Or is the idea that once you've emerged, then you've just emerged?
Yeah, no, there's not like that's it, you can't be with us anymore, you're emerged. No, it's definitely, we'd want to keep once we have a member in teaching in our company, in our name, we want to keep them and keep their talents as well. And as the company grows, more job opportunities are going to grow as well, so we can find more new contacts, new emerging artists as well to join that, and hope I mean, I've done it before. I know how many people it takes in an army. So there'll be plenty of opportunity to get as much people as possible involved. Hope that answers your question.
Can I just come in then as well? Thank you, Sarah. And I've got, Michelle and Adam have been asking the questions I was going to ask as well. I think very much about thinking about the structure, because it will provide you with a almost action plan for next steps where you want to go. So to encourage you to give that some thought. But you mentioned at the beginning, you were talking about your incredible team and people that you were working with. And so I'm interested to know, who is that? Who's around you that's working with you and taking this idea forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've met obviously amazing people at RNCM, and Manchester being in such a brilliant middle ground, you've got people scattered back home all over around the UK. So my contact I've made in Wales, which has led to our Easter production there. And I've also met people in RCS in the Scottish Conservatoire as well, leading to our opportunities in Scotland and getting them involved. And also down in Essex and areas down there, trying to basically get our toe in to all these communities to try and get involved and start up a voice and a message and a project.
Good, and it sounds as if it's quite diverse here, these people that you're working with, to be able to bring different perspectives and different connections on board. The other thing that I just wanted to say was, Michelle started off asking you about, you know, the impact, and I say for the work that you've done, do take the time and capture those impacts and those stories about what you've done and what you've achieved, because those are the things that will evidence what you can achieve whenever you do apply for further fundings and try and get more supporters. So, okay, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zara. We'll move on if that's okay, but that was great. Thank you very much for joining us, Zara.
Thank you very much. Lovely to speak to you all. Thank you. Bye.
And I'll let Richard in if that's okay with everyone. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
I think you're on mute. I've gone, oh, that's it.
There we go. Sorry about that. I haven't used Zoom before, so this is a bit of a learning curve for me.
It was very nice for you not to have used Zoom for the last 16 weeks, Richard. Congratulations.
Right. So go straight in, or?
Yeah, are you? If you're ready to go, that would be great. We're looking forward to it.
Great. Good afternoon. My pitch is a little bit different to everything else which you've heard this afternoon. Mine's one about automotive acoustics, which isn't about in-car radio systems, but the sound that comes out the back of the car. Over the last year, I've looked at how car manufacturers have a specific engine acoustic signature, how this sound is created, how and why it appeals to certain audiences, and how these manufacturers are tackling the challenge of the electric car and the possibility of a silent future. This has been done via YouTube, a blog, Instagram, and most successfully on DriveTribe, which is an online community started by Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May of Top Gear fame. One article on DriveTribe has been read by 25,500 people. So far, I've visited the Mercedes-AMG engine factory in Alpha-Altenburg. AMG are the performance wing of Mercedes-Benz and like to make ordinary estate cars go faster than Ferraris. I've also been to the Porsche and Mercedes museums in Stuttgart and VW Wolfsburg, including the Autostadt, which is where VW showcase their other brands such as Lamborghini, Bugatti, and Bentley. Back in the UK, I've donned the persona of Steve McQueen, driving a Ford Mustang V8, which is the iconic American muscle car, for a day, gone full Fast and Furious in a Honda Civic Type R, and filmed an AMG E63S, a supercar killing estate car, in the mountains of southern Spain. Courtesy of Porsche GB in Reading, I've had the opportunity to record a £200,000 road-going race car, the latest embodiment of the iconic 911, and one of the fastest SUVs in the world, the Cayenne Turbo S E-Hybrid. This was thanks to their senior press officer being really interested in my project. Last year, Porsche launched their first electric car, the Taycan. Not only was this important as it is Porsche's first foray into the electric car, capable of 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, but because Porsche have always understood that sound is a vital component of the driving experience. It is the first electric car in the world to have its own specifically designed sound. My aim is to use a Taycan to drive from the UK to Stuttgart to visit the Porsche factory and discover more about how they designed the unique sound by visiting their acoustic design department. I would film parts of the trip and produce detailed recordings of the Taycan in order to create a YouTube video. The trip would also be written up and posted on DriveTribe and hopefully in print as part of Christophilus, which is Porsche's own in-house magazine. If I am successful in this final, I intend to invest in 2 GoPro action cameras and additional recording equipment as listed in my original proposal, in order to improve the quality of my videos and multimedia. So far, I've been using an old iPhone, which I've kind of used a suction mount to put on the back of the car. The remainder of the prize money would be used in social media advertising and to offset the cost of the aforementioned trip. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thanks, Richard. Yeah, yours is a slightly different project to the other ones that we've heard about. But really interesting. I'll kick off if that's all right. Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because your audience is very different for your work.
Very, very different.
So you've got the Drive Tribe article where you said you've got 25,500 readers, which is amazing. But I wondered, with your project, who do you see your target audience as, and how do you make money from them, if that's one of your aims?
Well, my target audience, thankfully with the Instagram and Drive Tribe, they have analytics which tell you what your average readers are. So I know that my audience is roughly 25 to 40-year-old male living in the UK, which is kind of what you would expect. How I would make money? Well, back in March, I was chosen to join the Drive Tribe Creators Program, which is similar to YouTube's creator program, where you gain money in comparison to the number of people who read your articles. So for the first month on Drive Tribe, I earned about £20. Last month it was about a tenner. So it's not big money, but it is something.
What's the overall goal, Richard? I mean, where's it going, if you like? What are you hoping to achieve long term?
I guess it would be to start doing more professional articles and stuff like that in the major car magazines, such as Autocar, What Car, Top Gear magazine, which is the world of automotive journalism. That would be quite nice.
Mm. And are you going to turn it into a business as such, or is this a hobby or a side hustle, or, you know, just tell us a bit about the enterprise?
Well, so far it's been for the creative project. If it works as a business, that'd be very nice, but I'm happy to keep going as I am now.
I had a question, Richard, and yeah, I mean, I hope you don't sort of think that this is unfair, but I guess you're doing work for kind of luxury car manufacturers that in many ways is actually doing them a considerable service in terms of like marketing their cars. Yeah. Like, why should we award you this money for something which is very much a kind of commercial prospect, I suppose? Because this isn't an investment fund, I guess. We don't see a return on this. So what's the, like, why should this panel kind of support you in this project?
Well, I guess it's because, well, I spent 4 years at the Northern, and throughout my time there, this is the first time I've had the opportunity to earn money from doing something. Despite being a double bass player, I haven't really had that much extra work. So moving forwards, and especially in the world which we live in now, with the prospect of freelance work is even less than it would have been beforehand. I think something where a graduating student has the opportunity to earn money, even if it is helping a massive manufacturer such as Porsche, is quite a good opportunity.
No, I agree. I think that's a really good answer.
One of the things I think you mentioned that you've had some really great experiences just in, you know, networking with some of these car manufacturers, and it's amazing some of the places you said you've been to visit and you've been able to drive these amazing cars. I mean, I wonder whether, do you see one outlet being that you know, you would be a freelance consultant effectively? Do you get the feeling from your relationships with the car manufacturers and the meetings you've had so far that car companies, you know, would effectively longer term would pay you to do their, you know, research on the car sounds for them, or marketing?
I think there might be the opportunity, especially with Porsche, with the press man being so interested in my project from such an early stage, where I don't have much of a following. There's 1,500 people on Instagram, and the Drive Tribe is based per article. So some articles do really well, some articles don't do as well. Porsche articles do well because everybody likes Porsche. So there might be the opportunity to earn money as a freelancer.
Okay. Can I just pick up as well? I think on Michelle's point there, and as Adam has said, this is working with, there is commercial impact there if you think about who you're working with and these car manufacturers. And I think if you have that interest, I was wondering, I suppose the next step is, what further conversations can you have with them? Or if you haven't yet, is this something that you can go back and follow up on some of those introductions that you have and explore this whole notion that you've identified of the sound and the emotional response of the car? I also must say, Richard, I wanted to thank you for your video that you submitted. I found it very entertaining whenever preparing for this. Oh, I wasn't expecting this. But I think it's really piqued an interest, because I know that there are car manufacturers are undertaking different innovative techniques and thinking about how can we overcome this quietness of the electric car going forward.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to know, would you, or have you thought about, or are you having ongoing conversations with these different car manufacturers?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because some parties are interested, some are not, as you would expect. But as an example of where there might be the opportunity for musicians in the future, so BMW, their electric car program moving forwards, they decided that the best way to have somebody design an electric car sound was to hire a composer. And the composer who they decided to hire was Hans Zimmer. So a massive, massive name to design a sound for a massive car company. I don't think I'll ever get to that stage, probably, but there might be the chance, perhaps like a consultant or feedback from a different perspective.
And of course, there's other specialist and niche manufacturers as well, where you might find there may be opportunities for you there as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I think Adam was going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, I mean, I think there's huge potential here for you to kind of develop your work in kind of automotive journalism, and that, that's kind of a massive area, and there are huge numbers of interested readers. I suppose I was wondering whether you could tell us a bit more about what your kind of what your plan is to kind of develop in the kind of medium term, say in the next 5 years, like that kind of branch of your work.
Medium term, it would be to start to approach magazines outside of the manufacturer's control. So going to local ones to start with, so smaller scale, because all your local newspapers, they always have a column or an article about a car every now and again. And then it would be, perhaps after I've been in one or two of those, go towards your more national ones like the Autocar, the What Car, Top Gear magazine. And moving forwards from that, the good thing with Drive Tribe is, because it's associated with Jeremy Clarkson and the other two, you're already at a good standpoint. To Drive Tribe employ their own professional journalists, so I can always ask them for advice and help with articles as well.
Great, thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
One last question from me, Richard. What's next? What are you doing over the summer? Have you got plans? Can you still work on this over the summer? Because it's difficult to travel at the moment, isn't it? And to visit these car manufacturers. Have you got articles you're working on?
Yes, I've got a handful of articles and some footage which I haven't used in any videos yet. And thankfully, with everything starting to free up as well, because I think from the 6th of July, we're actually allowed to travel elsewhere. I think it's a little bit different for us in Wales, but after this, I'll be pitching the idea onto Porsche to see whether he thinks that the European travel is still viable or not. So,
great. Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
You're free to leave the Zoom room.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and we've got Dan in the waiting room, so I'll let him in. Hi, Dan and Miri.
Hello. Hiya. Can you hear us?
Yeah, perfect.
Brilliant. Thank you.
We can, so whenever you're ready.
Cool. We're going to start off with some music, if that's all right.
Thank you. So I'm Miri, this is Dan, and we're the artistic directors of All Saints Brass. You just heard a little snippet of Do You Know Emperor Joe by Werner Perchner, which we've multi-tracked during lockdown. All Saints Brass has been an established and successful brass quintet for nearly 4 years now. Recently, we've been focusing on life post-college and how to develop the group into a more professional and commercially successful business. This past year, we've really stepped up our game, having reached the semi-final of the International Philip Jones competition, being selected to play in Wigmore Hall's concert series and scouted for the Rye Festival.
Our project, Perchner Uncovered, explores music by the composer Werner Perchner through 3 main strands: a composition competition, a recording, and a performance. We've chosen Perchner because his music allows us to break the mould of the traditional brass quintet repertoire. His fusion of jazz, Austrian classical style, and theatricality has captured every audience that we've shared his music with. As a largely unknown composer, his works are seldom performed or recorded, and this gives us the opportunity to create a niche for ourselves.
Brass chamber music is on the rise, with groups such as Septura selling out concert halls at £30 a ticket. We find that the general audience demographic, both for our quintet and classical music in general, is mostly made up of the older generation or those with formal musical training. We think an important aspect of this project is to expand our horizons as musicians and appeal to a wider and more diverse audience. The added performance and comedic elements in Perchner's works, which you experienced a bit of just then, allow us to engage with our audiences in a way which the traditional repertoire simply doesn't. We feel that the personality of the group, combined with Perchner's eccentric and alluring music, provides the perfect platform for us to expand our audience.
Now, to the more specific details, the composition competition will provide an opportunity for upcoming composers to complete Perchner's unfinished work, Vierte Fast Fertigers. We hope to collaborate with the winning composer on the finished piece and eventually include it in our performance repertoire and produce a recording of the work. While there will be no specific age limitations on entry, we feel that it is important to engage with upcoming composers and form a partnership where we can get more commissions and build up our own unique repertoire. We feel this competition will legitimise us as a professional group and that the prize money on offer will generate its own hype and lead to a wider following and engagement with our social media channels.
The recording will give us a professional product that we can use to market ourselves and put us on the map. We'll be recording Do You Know Emperor Joe alongside the new piece from the competition. The combination of the two works will give our group a unique identity and presence when people search for us online. Our overall ambition to continue this project is to record all of his quintet works, which we plan to do over the next few years.
The final part of the project will be a concert, giving us the opportunity to perform Do You Know Emperor Joe alongside an accompanying animation video by a Manchester-based artist. We feel that home would be a good setting for the concert with their focus on films, new and experimental art forms, and Manchester-based performance. We think this would be a great opportunity for them to bring something different to their audiences. We could then build on their existing audience network and develop more of a following for our own group outside of the music community.
You should invest in us as we are an established, successful and passionate group that needs a boost getting to the next level. This project will provide long-term viability, sustainability and profitability for the quintet, as well as giving audiences the chance to experience this wonderful music in a new and engaging way. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you very much, Dan and Miri. Nice to see you. So I'll ask the first cheeky question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So you're an excellent brass ensemble, and you've laid out clear plans. So to work with a composer, to do a performance, to do a recording, and the cheeky question is, are you a professional ensemble like all other professional ensembles, or are you entrepreneurs? And maybe those two are the same thing. But in particular, what makes you different? What makes you innovative? What means you're pushing the boundaries above other, as you mentioned, some excellent other brass ensembles?
Yeah, I'll jump in on this one, Simon. I think the thing is, I would describe us as very much, what we used to do was very much be a standard brass quintet. We just play all the standard repertoire. And yeah, we did quite well for ourselves. We were doing well at college, starting to enter competitions, starting to do things. And I think we kind of just got to a point where the repertoire that was available couldn't really show off enough of what we wanted to do. And I think the way this is entrepreneurial is that we're kind of creating our own market. We're creating our own repertoire and then bringing something new to audiences rather than just, oh, it's another brass group. Or like, it's just another chamber ensemble. We're trying to step above all of that and be like a new form of art kind of thing within ourselves.
And if I could just jump in as well, I think a lot of the groups that we kind of look up to, a lot of the brass groups like Monozzle Brass, Septura, a lot of the professional groups, they're all amazing and they're all male groups. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think as a group with two women, it's really important when we're looking to do kind of school workshops. And I think it's really important to show children that brass music isn't just about being male, because it isn't anymore, but it is still something that I've found very difficult, being female in like a very male dominant profession.
What's the missing? Because you've obviously done very well, and congratulations. I'm just wondering, because you keep talking about getting to the next level, what's missing, do you think, in your words, to get you to the next level? And then my subsequent question is, then why will this project, which will be new to audiences, potentially help you achieve that? Because I'm still not clear on that. I think the project is wonderful. I'm just not quite sure how I see the link to it getting you the exposure to get you to the next level.
I think part of it is about having a product that is ours, and that people can associate with us. And I think that will be cultivated both by having a piece commissioned for us in the competition and having a recording. At the moment, we find, we've done gigs, we've done competitions, and people like hearing us, and a lot of people ask, oh, have you got a recording? Have you got an album? And we don't, we made a multi-track and we've got live recordings, but we don't have anything official. We don't have anything on Spotify or Apple Music that we can show to people and say, like, this is who we are.
Yeah, and to build on that, like the kind of next stage for us is we're looking at doing the European Chamber Music Award, which is a 2-year course, and that would be partly at RNCM, partly in Paris, partly in Vienna. And for that, this is kind of like something that we can then use in that audition, because obviously it's like super competitive to get onto, and having our own piece of repertoire, having a recording, having and doing the concert would allow, it just makes us stand out as a group, because it gives us something to focus on and a piece of work to show that we've actually got this project going.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. It sounds great, and I think we can all agree that there are quite serious representation problems in brass sections across the UK and the world in terms of gender balance. You kind of talked about the potential of this repertoire to kind of build a new audience for the kind of brass quintet audience, which I guess is traditionally kind of more one note. Can you tell us a bit more about that, about how you're going to reach that new audience and how you're going to kind of get them to come to your stuff?
So we've been kind of looking at more alternative venues other than like the kind of traditional classical music venues. So that's why we've looked at home, places where they do hold music events and people who are kind of have a prior interest in the arts and culture attend, but maybe don't know so much about classical music. And I think with Perchner's music, there's kind of spoken word elements of theatricality. And I think it can appeal to people who might sometimes be put off by classical music, as it's seen as a very kind of formal and alienating art form sometimes.
I think also this is kind of why we're doing this as well, is that I think that's the one thing that we probably need the mentorship and the most help with, is engaging like a younger audience. And I'm sure that's something that all of you personally struggle with in your work, is trying to, like, there's many social media posts and like trying to tailor. I think that's what we need advice on, and how to bring in a younger crowd and things like that, because obviously we can try social media, we've tried different social media marketing, but you still end up with the same kind of audience turning up. It's generally older and people that would go to the concert a lot of the time anyway. So I think that's what we need a lot of help with, the thing we need the main help with.
If you had to guess, like, or if you had to kind of, I mean, give us your best guess of a strategy that might help to bring in different kinds of people.
Well, I think for us is having these multi-track recordings, getting them on Facebook. We have like we're like trying to build up our following on our social media channels. We have like, we try and put, obviously it's hard at the moment, but we were putting up stories on Instagram stories and things to try and get our friends sharing, and then trying to build up a following that way. I think also using targeted social media posts rather than just trying to build in an organic way would obviously build up our following a lot better as well. Yeah.
Hey. Hi, can I just jump in a question? I'm interested about you and your group. You've been together and performing together for 4 years, is that correct? Yeah, and then I'm interested in understanding how you work together and the different roles and responsibilities, because we've heard from you two as artistic directors, and thinking, how do you decide who does what and who's responsible for all this social media work, that kind of thing, as well as obviously the music?
So we've kind of taken on this project. Obviously it would be quite difficult if all 5 of us were sat here. Different people, so Josh is in charge of the Instagram, Jack's in charge of the Twitter, so we kind of do that. And in terms of musical input, I'd say we all have quite an equal standing. We like our interpretations to come from all of us, so it's something that we can all call our own. So we have a lot of discussion inside and outside of rehearsals about how to do that, what different people want from the music, what different people want to explore in terms of repertoire, which I think is really important.
Yeah, I think it's also always deciding what skill set someone has that's going to make a task the easiest. There's no point someone sitting there trying to edit together a recording when it's going to take them 20 hours if it's something that someone really excels at. So I think that's something that has taken a long time to kind of work out, but we now have like defined roles. People know what they're good at, and then that cuts down time, makes us like super efficient as a group. It means when we're coming to a rehearsal, we're like all prepared, and it means we can just cut down rehearsal time, recording time, and then just make us way more efficient in the long run.
Okay, that's great, because that's often a challenge, isn't it, working together and keeping things forward. Okay, thank you.
Can I just go on that same note that Lisa's question made me think of? What would happen if somebody left?
Well, we have had, no, I guess I didn't leave, but we have had some small changes in personnel when we first kind of started out. I guess at this point it would be, I guess, more challenging if someone left, but I think
we've had practice people having to step in sometimes last minute because of illness, or like, you know, situations come up in concerts, and it is really difficult. But we do have people who we know can not replace anyone in the group, because obviously it would never be the same, but there are people who have kind of helped us out in the past. We have, obviously at RNCM, we have a network of a lot of fantastic musicians who are always happy to kind of help you out and do you a favour.
Yeah, I think also that in terms of long-term future, I mean, obviously in an ideal world, we'd obviously all stay together, and that would be, and everything would just, and in 10 years time we'd be performing in concerts, but some, you know, for whatever reason, someone might end up doing something else. And I think it takes time, but as as long as like the core of the group, I mean, there's 3 of us that have been in from the very beginning. I think we have our own personal brand, and then you sculpt someone into your brand and make that work. And I think that's...
And they also kind of bring new things to the table, which you might not have thought of before they arrive.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any more questions? Thank you very much, Dan and Miri, our big finish. It's nice to see you, and you're welcome to leave the Zoom room.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Okay, so for everyone watching on YouTube, we are going to retire for our deliberations. The announcement won't be made on this stream, so look out for an announcement below the YouTube video and on the RNCM newsfeed, and we'll let you know who the winners are. So, but for now, thank you again to Hannah McCabe and Katie Chatburn, and to everyone in the RNCM marketing department and tech department. But most of all, thank you to our expert panel for giving their time and expertise. So thank you, Michelle, Lisa and Adam. It's been absolutely fantastic to work with you. So for everyone watching on streaming now, thank you very much. And we're about to say